Welcome to Words From My Face. On tonight's show, we're talking about Masahiro Tanaka's and his PRP procedure. We're talking NFC West preview. And we have Donald Stirling. Please go away. Please go away. Stay tuned. That was once in a lifetime. That was one of the greatest round ones of all time, of all sports, ever.
I think, though, Beverly Hills Cop, RoboCop crossover needs to happen.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Words From My Face. My name is Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brendan.
Yo.
And we are the one and only home of the Chewbacca Chainsaws. I say that enough, you'd think I'd be able to just have it free flow, but
yeah, I was kind of curious about that. I mean, just slipping up on the Chewbacca Chainsaw. I don't think Chewie's going to be happy about that.
He won't. Good thing he is in Barbados right now. I don't know why, but he decided to swim to Barbados. That is right. He does not fly. He swims. Yeah, he was like, I feel like going to Barbados. So he jogged it over to the. I mean, we're in D.C., so it's not that far to get to the Atlantic Ocean. Dove in at Ocean City, Maryland, and swam down. So he saves on air travel. So that's how he rolls.
I guess it's probably better not to question the Wookiee with the chainsaw swimming through the ocean.
Yes, you just let him swim.
Yeah, and if he wants to go to Barbados, that's cool. That he doesn't have to stay in my room tonight. So
he does leave an interesting odor, doesn't he?
Yeah,
that Wookiee odor. Yeah,
it's more than just the odor that's a problem. Like it's the chainsaw all night, but
yeah, I mean the revving and everything. It's never easy, especially. What can we do? We can't kick him out. That's for sure. Yeah, and I wasn't joking on that. We can't kick him out. We're actually scared of him. Yeah.
Very. We
didn't want this to be the one and only home of the Chewbacca Chainsaws, but he did.
And there's no arguing with Chewbacca with the chainsaw. Anyway.
You don't argue that. But tonight we are doing our sports show because it is Thursday night. This is what we do every Thursday night, and it's because we love sports. It's a thing to do. So as you heard in the intro, we are talking about Masahiro Tanaka getting his PRP. Platelet-rich plasma injection. We're talking about the NFC West, giving a little preview on what to look forward to this season, and we are, of course, talking about Donald Stirling and how he will never ever go away for some reason. But let's start it off tonight the same way we started off every sports night, and that is with our Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week award. And so tonight, I like the Chewbacca Chainsaw Award that I'm giving away, but it wasn't like as spectacular as some of the ones we've given away. But this is pretty cool. So listen to this. Okay, so
just tell people not to listen.
No, listen. Yeah. Listen anyway. Trust me, it's still good. Listen. All right. So Chase Headley. He's hanging out Tuesday afternoon. He's in San Diego. That's where he plays. He plays for the San Diego Padres. And he's hanging out, chilling, probably relaxing by the beach. It's 70 degrees all year there. He's just hanging out, having a good time. When he gets a call saying, hey, we just traded you to the Yankees. Get on a plane now. You are expected to report before tonight's game. So he says, okay, cool. I went from one of the losingest franchises in America to one of the winningest franchises. So, hey, all good there. So he shows up. Not really expecting to play. I mean, it's his first day there. And what happens? Well, the Yankees, the game goes into the 14th inning. They need somebody to come in and pinch hit. So, hey, it's his first night. Might as well throw him in there, give him a shot. Well, Chase Headley comes out, hits a walk-off single, and wins the game for the Yankees after being on a totally different team just about 10 hours before. So, I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow. Is it common to have such a quick transition to be told you're traded and have to go that day?
In baseball, yes, that is very common, and basketball as well. Football, usually, you have to go that day, but they usually don't get you into the game quite as soon because there's a little bit more game planning you have to do. But
Yeah, there's
definitely,
also though, assuming you didn't get told on Saturday or something like that or Sunday, you have more time between games to worry about.
But in basketball, you see that. I mean, you don't quite see same day of the trade usually playing, but basketball and baseball, since it's like, okay, not as much strategy. Yes, there is plenty of strategy in both those two sports. I love both those sports, not hating on them, but there's not as much strategy as you have in like football. So, yeah, it's not common, no, but it's not as rare as if you would see it in the NFL. So,
I'm just surprised that they would even have that expectation of getting to the place the same day and everything like that. I would have thought that by now the Players Association would say, no, give us 2 days, something like that. But I guess that's how it is.
Yeah, maybe.
And I guess they're used to traveling anyway,
work.
So.
Yeah, they fly across country all the time anyway, so it's nothing new. It's not like he didn't know how to get to the airport. So,
yeah, it's not like he has to move everything.
Now, I don't know if he has a family, but if he did have a family, they probably stayed behind. So that was probably one sad thing. But, it's a business trip. Just look at it that way. You can come back to San Diego anytime on the off season, especially during the winter when it's beautiful in San Diego. So keep your house in San Diego, Chase Headley. But you are the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week award winner. So yeah, but that interesting turnaround. But I don't know. What do you want to talk about next? Should we talk about Donald Stirling? Should we talk about?
I never want
Masahiro
to talk about Donald Stirling again.
I don't either, but we're going to talk about him. So, unless you just disconnect we're talking about him tonight. But actually,
our views. You talk about him.
Okay. Well, hey, welcome to my show. It's all me and only me and nobody but me. I know you like it. But actually, we're going to talk about the NFC West preview. So, I guess we don't really need Brendan for this one. Yeah. So Donald Stirling, he gets pushed off to the end. But yeah, so since we're about 6 weeks away from the NFL season starting, and there's about 8 divisions in football, I decided, hey, now's about the right time to start off our division previews. So we'll do one a night most of these nights, of course, since if you can do the math, which I'm not assuming you can. It took me like a calculator and an abacus to figure this one out. We'll have to do two of these nights, so we will do that. So stay tuned for that. But so tonight we're going to kick it all off with our NFC West preview. And I don't know, we'll come up with a sound effect for that for the rest of them, but we didn't really come up with anything for tonight. Sorry. Okay, that's our sound effect. Boo, Brian. But yeah, so let's kick it off and start with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, they are your Super Bowl champions. They came off of a demolishing win where they just absolutely crushed the Denver Broncos, and very, very surprising the way they beat them. But they pretty much have retained their entire team. All their free agents they pretty much signed except for one big one, and that was Golden Tate. He flew the coop and ended up in Detroit. So that's going to be interesting. Now, I'm pretty much going to break down, some interesting storylines going on with them and their biggest loss and their biggest gain of the season. So let's start it off with their biggest choice. Huh? Yeah, he was a free agent. Yeah, I mean the city not so much, but the money, yes, yes.
All right.
He was like
a really good deal.
Yeah, I don't mind making $7 million a year for the next couple of years. Even if I have to live in Detroit, just because they're bankrupt doesn't mean I have to be.
Yeah, I mean, just their team is not that good.
They've been better in the past couple of years. They're one of the best offensive teams in the league. It's just the defense, even with all the talent they have on the defense, just never can seem to get it together. But we're not talking Detroit. We are talking Seattle. So, yeah, I'll go over there. So the big storylines, number one, yeah, they're looking like they're in line to repeat. They'll be the first repeat championship, Super Bowl champion since Tom Brady's Patriots in 2003 and 2004, I believe. Now, I honestly don't really think they'll repeat. I didn't think they'd win last year, though, so what do I know?
Wow, it's been 10 years, hasn't it, since that? Huh.
Yeah.
Time flies.
It's been a while since we've had repeat champions, so, yeah, they're pretty much still on the top of their game.
Still, like, it happening in a 10-year. I guess it happens like at least once a decade. We have that happen. It seems like so. That's still kind of frequently, considering how many teams there are and how many teams haven't even made it to the Super Bowl at all.
Well, yeah, but parity is the free agency has created more parity, so I think we're seeing it less and less and less than we used to. Like if you look back at the '60s, the Packers won it a couple times in a row. You look back at the '70s, the Steelers won it a couple times in a row. The '80s, you had the 49ers won it a couple times in a row. You had the Cowboys win it a couple times in a row. So you are right. There's a trend there, but I don't see it happening quite as much as it used to. But I'd have to prove that. And I can't prove that without this decade being over. So,
all right. Well, we'll plan to find out.
But yeah, so
look into the future. If you could see the future, let us know in comments down below.
Comments down below for all your future picks for the NFL and lottery numbers. We'd like those too. Yeah, because we always like lottery numbers. But yeah, so their biggest loss this year was Golden Tate. He was the biggest loss because right now Sidney Rice just retired, and that's a pretty big loss too. But they have no receiving core. And Russell Wilson, whereas he is good, he is a solid quarterback, I think he needs help in the wide receiver game, and he just doesn't have that. So we're going to see that kind of take a hit. Now you might be saying, well, how are they still going to repeat? Because they have a running back who's known as the Beast. And, yeah, that's all I got to say. He's known as the Beast, and that's Marshawn Lynch. Now, as of today, Marshawn Lynch actually is saying that he might be holding out of training camp because he wants a bigger deal. And, yeah, so that might really hurt them. So anybody who's preying on the Seahawks' downfall, now's your time.
What do you think, Brian, though, about the running back game? Has it seemed to me like it's become, for many teams, less and less important in the game overall since they've opened up the receiver so much more, but... You know what? Yeah, I mean, it used to be such an important role. It used to be like incredibly crucial. Now it's still important, but it just seems like maybe it's been on the decline lately. Anyway,
you are right. It has been on the decline since the passing game has been opened up, and you have all these quarterbacks throwing these amazing stats every year, and wide receivers going crazy. But I do find it very integral to the game still because, I mean, you're not going to have a great passing game. Usually unless you have a little bit of a running game. Because defenses are smart enough, they're athletic enough, they can figure out a way to shut down what you do best unless you're versatile, unless you have multiple things. Now, that being said, running backs were seen at an all-time low. They're getting the least amount of money, comparatively speaking, than they ever have. It seems like after you hit 27, they're willing to just throw you away and look for the next big thing. So running back as a position, I think it's still very, very important, but it is not the premium position it once was. So,
yeah, and I can think of several teams where we've seen amazing running backs that have been absolutely crucial still, even if many of them are still putting up incredible numbers. Even the ones that aren't putting up incredible numbers, opening up the rest of the game, or especially the ones that are putting it like.
Adrian Peterson's still on top. That guy is a beast. He's one of the best running backs ever, in my opinion, so far. But yeah, I mean, is he worth the money that Calvin Johnson gets? I don't know. I mean, yes, he has the great production. He is capable of getting that 2,000 yards, but does that matter? Can he take over a game? Not quite as much as they used to be able to.
It also seems to me to open up the read option that we've been seeing a little bit more popularity in the pros with. Because even though the point there is that the quarterback can run, if there's also the threat of a good running back running the other way or whatever, now you have 3, 4, however many more things to take care of, and it really helps open that up, just explode. Because it's one thing that there's a pass or a run from the quarterback threat, and maybe the running back, but if you have a really good running back, that so much is opened up. It's hard to deal with when a team can go to any of 3 really good options at any time. So
I mean, options are always good. I mean, you can never have too many options, I don't think, unless those options, when they're not used, become whiny babies, wide receivers. But yeah, so you never know. I mean, running back, like I said, it's still an important position, but the actual running backs themselves are being less and less focused on. So What can you do? But let's move it on to the 49ers. Now, the Seahawks and the 49ers seems like every year, well, at least the past 3 years, they've been battling it out. Those are two of the better teams in the NFL right now, and that's for good reason, because this is the way they built their teams. We have a great defense, and we have quarterbacks that can manage the game well. Colin Kaepernick is a little more flashy than Russell Wilson, but we have great quarterbacks, and we have, pretty good great quarterbacks and good quarterbacks. I meant great defenses and good quarterbacks. So that's kind of their formula there. And these two teams are actually kind of mirror images of each other. Now, it seems like San Francisco has a little bit more flashiness to their defense. Seattle still gets it done, so it really doesn't matter. But yeah, so their biggest loss this year was actually on the defensive side, which was Dante Whitner, a.k.a. Dante Hittner, and they lost him in free agency this year. Now, he was a really, really solid safety. Not the best coverage safety, but definitely if somebody was running over the middle, they thought twice because they knew Dante Whitner was out there, and he was going to lay down a hit. So that's going to be a pretty bad loss for them. Now, I believe they drafted somebody to kind of take his place, but, I mean, whenever you draft somebody, it's never that great. Well, I'm sorry, they didn't draft him. Their biggest gain, which I have written down right here, they did draft somebody, but was Antoine Bethea. Now, he's coming over from the Colts. He is a very solid safety, but he's not a great safety like Dante Whitner was. So,
yeah, I was going to say, like, even with drafting someone, I mean, always veteran players are more valuable, but it seems, especially on defense, I can't think of very many like really major defensive players that were great right out of the gate as rookies. Like, good, sure, but it seems like
Sean Taylor.
Right out the gate, you'd say?
Sean Taylor.
I'm saying good, but all right, fine. Okay. Not very many though. So you got one.
He's dead. You can't refute it. Sean Taylor, you just have to honor his memory at all times. That's what I say.
All right, that's fine. So we got Sean Taylor.
I mean, I can go through more.
Look, just accept my point. All right.
Okay, you are correct.
Down in the books.
You are correct.
Everything I say is correct.
Brian Cushing. Nope. Do I have to go through more? Jarius Byrd, he was a beast when he was a rookie. All right, I'm sorry. Your point is right. You are exactly correct.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
All those defensive players that seemed like they were good as rookies, they just got lucky.
That was it. It was just luck. That was simple, dumb luck. That is all they have. They have no skill or talent. That is from Brendan, not from me. So all you big football players that want to get somebody, hit us up at Words for My Face on Twitter, at wordsformyface@gmail.com, and I'll let you know how to beat up Brendan.
The second year of skill. Though.
Second. Gotcha. Second. Okay, so there you go. You covered yourself. The second year was skill. First year, dumb luck. Second year, skill. Dumb luck first year. But yeah, so that's the 49ers. They lost, but they brought somebody back. So they're going to be about the same team. Both those teams, I mean, you had the Seahawks go 13-3, you had the 49ers go 12-4. They're both going to be the same teams they were last year. I mean, let's say somebody fumbles the ball and it bounces one extra direction towards the 49ers or the Seahawks, I mean, that's going to be the difference, is some dumb luck plays over the year. So, but then we have creeping up on them is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, these guys were 10-6 last year, and that is, you say, that's a great record. That's a playoff team. Nope, they didn't even make the playoffs. So that is very rare when a 10-6 team does not make the playoffs. Now, do I think they can really compete in this division with Seattle and San Francisco? No. But could they surprise me? Sure. Why not? I mean, if you look at this division, 5 years ago, I believe, was when the Rams made it into the playoffs with a 7-9 record. And that was 5 years ago. Then 4 years ago, the Arizona Cardinals made it all the way to the Super Bowl with an 8-8 record winning the division. So anything can happen. This is the NFL. Parity is everywhere, so you never know. But I just don't really think they have it. Now their biggest
things about the NFL too is just no matter what you're looking at, and things can always go any way because they're great with balancing the teams. They're great with everyone being so top-notch, and they're great with turning things around. I mean, especially when you have time to strategize. I think that's one of the beauties of having so few games. They're all so incredibly important, and you can change things around.
Strategy plays more. It's more of a game of chess than other sports would be more, which would be more checkers. I mean, you really have to think about. You have to anticipate and really just plan for the next person's move, and that happens all throughout the week. You're right. I mean, they watch so much film on their opponents. They sometimes go back, like especially with rookies, like when RG3 was a rookie quarterback, you have no film on the guy. They go back to his college and high school days to get film on him. So I mean, they do their homework. That is one thing you got to say about the NFL is they do their homework. So. But the Cardinals, their biggest loss was a pretty big loss. Probably the best cover linebacker, not a phrase you hear very often, but the best cover linebacker out there, Carlos Dansby, left them. So that was a really big loss. But they did do some good gains. They added a few pieces to their offensive line, which really struggled last year. And they have Carson Palmer as their quarterback. So last year he did well. I mean, they had 10-6. But he was unable to stay upright as much as they'd like him to. And he is towards the back end of his career, and he has had some pretty severe injuries over his career, so you really want to keep that guy protected. So they did a good thing by beefing up their offensive line. So, and then that will bring us to the bottom of the division, which they're still not so bad. The Rams, I believe they were 7-9 last year, if I'm correct. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I think I just made that one up. But yeah, so the Rams.
They had a good. Some good advantages coming into the draft with that. What did they end up with? First, second round?
Yeah, they had the second pick of the first round.
Yeah. So
from the Redskins, no less. But yeah, so they added a lot of draft pieces. They're really looking for Sam Bradford to really mature into that role that they drafted him to be, that leader of a quarterback who could put up the spectacular numbers, be that field general that they needed. He's never quite shown all that much. They did, like I said, they made the playoffs either his rookie or his sophomore year, with the 7-9 record. I mean, is that really making the playoffs? That's really just like falling and ending up in the playoffs. So, yeah, can they compete in this division? I really don't think so. Sorry, St. Louis fans. It's just you're in the toughest division in football right now. So even if you go 8-8, that's a spectacular record. It's just, yeah, murderer's row of division opponents with the Seahawks, 49ers, and the Cardinals to play. So hope those draft picks we gave you helped out, at least in the future, but you never know. We'll see how.
Yeah, honestly, it's probably more likely to help out a year or two down the line, which it seems like they're willing to build for, and they've been getting ready for, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you don't compile that many draft picks without building for the future. So, and Jeff Fisher has taken the reins there. Now, Jeff Fisher, I'm not going to come out and say he's like the greatest coach of all time, but he's shown that he knows how to put a winning team on the field. He did that for like 17 years with the Titans. So they have a good guy leading them, but you never know. I mean, this is the NFL, like we keep saying, parodies everywhere. We could say, yeah, this team's going to be 3-13, and then they end up 13-3. So nobody ever knows. Like the Redskins, they were 3-13 last year. They're going to be 13-3 this year.
Of course, because
yes.
that record helped them out so much too because of the great draft picks they got that were already traded away to the Rams.
Yes. But yeah, so in synopsis, I'm going to give the division actually to San Francisco 49ers. I think that they're just a little bit more complete of an all-around team than Seattle is, even though Seattle won the Super Bowl last year. I do think that the departure of Sidney Rice and Golden Tate is going to hurt them. They are going to take a hit unless they're able to go out there and find some offensive weapon to really help the wide receiving core. They're in trouble there. But they are still good enough of a team. Marshawn Lynch, like I said, he is kind of holding out, but he'll be back. I mean, they'll give him his money. He'll be back. So, but I do see the 49ers being the ones that walk away with this division. Hardest division in football, in my opinion.
Well, so far anyway. We're still several weeks away from the real season. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, listen, Colin Kaepernick could go out into training camp tomorrow, break his leg, and be out for the whole year. Anything can happen.
And that kind of thing does, in fact, happen often enough.
I'm going to give you a little bit of a fantasy football tip. This is one that I live by. Never draft your fantasy football teams before 2 weeks before the season. And I say that because players are always getting hurt in the beginning of training camp, and some of these injuries will last a good long time. Be careful. If you draft somebody in your fantasy football league who's then out for the rest of the season and he hasn't even played a game, you are screwed. I always wait until minimum 2 weeks before the season starts because they kind of start lowering the intensity of the training camp after that because they've already played all their preseason games. They know their rosters. They just need to work on their game plan for the first game. So be careful if you want to draft too early. Yeah, it's fun, but you could get screwed real hard. So at least in your money leagues, don't do that. You can do if it's just a random league that you join for fun, go for it. But in your money leagues, don't do it. And I think I just thought about this. We are going to do this though. I'm going to do a live draft special when I do my draft with my league. I'm going to do it.
And you throw this on me now, because now I am, of course, going to have to organize this live stream, which means setting up the same things we set up every night. And I don't know, whatever.
I bet you I could get it with you. You wouldn't even have to be there if you don't want to. I bet you I could do this. Yeah, I'm doing it. That's that. I'm doing it. I've decided. But let us know what you think about the NFC West, or hey, tell me I'm a dummy for thinking what I think, or tell me I'm a genius. Which, yeah, genius. That's what you want to say. I mean, I know. Yeah, I got whomped. But yeah, let us know. Comments down below. Of course, at Words for My Face on Twitter, wordsformyface@gmail.com, Google+, and Facebook. There's plenty of places to get a hold of us to tell me how dumb I am. Or how smart I am. I mean, one of the two. I mean, it's going to be how dumb I am. I know how the internet works. But you can tell me I'm smart. Hey, I wouldn't mind. Hey.
All right.
Hey. Okay, fine. I'm milking it a little bit. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. And that is Masahiro Tanaka. And Masahiro Tanaka, he is one of the best pitchers out there. But right before the All-Star break, he kind of injured his elbow. Now, they haven't disclosed exactly what happened with his elbow, but he injured some of the muscle in his elbow. And now, he is a pitcher, so those are probably the most important parts of his body for what he does. And instead of opting for surgery, they've taken a little bit of a different route. Now, this is something that's been popping up, especially in sports medicine, a lot the past 5 to 10 years. And they went for a procedure called PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma, and that what they do is they inject that into him, and that's supposed to help him heal not only faster, but without the need of surgery. And you might say, what is platelet-rich plasma? That does not make sense. What is it? I'll tell you. So it was actually developed in the mid-90s, and it was originally used for the purposes of oral and dental surgeries, because it was very good at helping regenerate and heal soft tissue, and that's pretty much what your mouth is soft tissue. It was later on found out that it's also good at regenerating bone density. So it's been used for nerve injuries, tendinitis, cardiac muscle injuries, plastic surgery recovery, bone repair, and regeneration. So it is used for a lot of different things. And what the process is pretty much they pull some of your blood out of you, and they inject some platelets with some extra stuff in it, some secret sauce. I'm going to say that. I don't know how to pronounce these words. They're very big words. I wrote them down. I'm just not going to pronounce them. Not going to happen. It's like chloromlactopline and fluoroflactopline. That's what it is. Bet you can't spell that. Bet you can't.
I don't believe it anyway. It's all ooze.
It is pretty much ooze. So they went ahead and injected him. Now, he's not quite back. They thought he was going to be close to back right now. And I bring this up because this is, like I said, it's been a new wave of treatments, and I wonder if we're going to find out 10 years from now that, hey, what they were injecting those platelets with, not so good for you, but
because it's ooze, it's turning them into mutants.
Well, if they did turn them into Mutant Ninja Turtles, it would be awesome. Sign me up. Where can I get my PRP injection? That's all I got to say. If I can be a Ninja Turtle, I'm down.
You're not going to be a turtle. It doesn't turn you into a different animal. You're just going to be a mutant.
Why not? Why can't it turn me into a turtle? Why not? Maybe we can inject.
That's not how the ooze work, Brian.
Maybe it is.
Maybe you should go back and watch that movie again. Okay.
Maybe we change the timeline, and now this is how the ooze works. It turns us into Ninja Turtles, and it automatically teaches us kung fu.
Timeline changes how it works.
I call it being Donatello.
All right.
You don't want to be Leonardo or Michelangelo? Come on, you can be next in line. We'll all be Ninja Turtles. So, but yeah, and I'm just trying to weigh the pros and cons of this, because, to be honest with you, everything I've seen about this is, yeah, you have a success story here, but then you have 5 failures right behind it. So the results are very inconclusive with this. But what it can do is it can definitely help you, because if they had done surgery on Tanaka's elbow, it would have been probably a Tommy John surgery. and that would have kept him out for at least a year. So is this kind of like them doing this thing with pumping pain pills into the players, where they're putting a Band-Aid over something that needs a lot more attention just so he can continue playing? Because the Yankees are in contention for the playoffs right now. He's their best pitcher by far, but hey, what are they doing? I mean, are they just trying to stall to keep him there? Maybe to make the playoffs, or is this really going to be what's good for the future?
I mean, I got to think that it's got to be doing more than just painkillers, because it doesn't, like, even if they're covering up the pain, it seems to me like he wouldn't be able to pitch as well otherwise, if there's still weakness in his arm. To pitch at that level, it has to be doing something. Yeah. Although we don't know if it's what it's doing yet, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, it's just not conclusive quite yet. I mean, and there was a player in football. I know about this because he's from Washington franchise. Well, he was, and that was Laron Landry, and he had an Achilles tendon tear, and I believe he opted, instead of having surgery, did this platelet-rich plasma injections. Now, it did work for him, but it didn't work for him for about a year and a half. So, is it really better than surgery?
Is it safer than surgery somehow? Like, do they think that it's less intrusive, so it's less?
You don't have to go through anesthesia if you do this. So I guess anything when you have to not get knocked out is better. But I mean,
not get cut open.
And not get cut open. Yeah, it's always nice not to cut open your skin, but I guess technically they open your skin a little bit to inject it. But I just found this very interesting, because this is the wave of the future. I mean, I read off a lot of the things that it's used for, and it's still primarily the most thing it's used for is sports. So is sports a pioneer for medicine?
Well, they definitely have the money and a lot of the concern to, at least active players, push what they can, and I guess they have a little bit more incentive to try and push things that are more fast-acting, even if a little bit less established, because if your player's out for the season, you've lost out on a considerable amount of money and potential. Whereas if you can get them back in a few games or whatnot, so you've saved a bunch of money, right? So
what if the procedure doesn't take? It heals it sort of, so that he feels more comfortable, but then later on down the road, it just breaks down after he's stopped the treatments. Yeah. And then
it's a risky business.
You're right back at square one, and we don't know what some of the long-term effects are. I really don't see any long-term effects, because pretty much all they're doing, I mean, you've heard about this in like Olympic sports, where you oxygenate your blood, they'd remove it, and then they inject the blood back into you right before your event, so you have more oxygenated blood. So it sounds like it's about the same thing, but who knows? I mean, modern science is so weird to me that, I mean, I understand what's going on, I just don't understand what's going on. Double that. Yeah.
What he really means is he doesn't understand what's going on at all. But
I like to pretend like I understand what's going on. That's what I mean. Yeah, you got me. So, but hey, if you know anything more about it, if you know any other players or anything that's had this procedure and it's worked out, here, let us know. Comments down below. Where's my face?
If you happen to be a doctor who knows something about this, or I don't know, some other kind of scientist working in the area, and can tell us why this is good or bad or risky or whatnot, go ahead, tell us that too. Yeah. Down below.
And really, I do hope that it does work. That is my hope for this procedure. I hope it does work. It sounds like a better way of doing things than cutting people open. And I want to see Masahiro Tanaka back out there. Now, he is in the Yankees, and I am a Baltimore Orioles fan, but I really like this guy. I think he's just been a phenom all year.
And he just got here. Like, yeah. He came to this country this year, because he came over from the Japanese league, which we talked about previously, and he's done great here. But again, he just got here. Come on now, like, you don't want to see a guy get leave his country, come play in the MLB, and half a season, not even a whole season, but half a season later, be out and done.
Now, don't get me wrong, spectacular half of a season. But yeah, only half a season. Yeah, we'd like to see more out of him. And really, that's what I root for, is I want to see the best competition out on the field. That's what makes the sports great. So,
Yeah.
yeah, let us know what you think about PRP, or if you're a doctor, you have some information about it. Let us know, comments down below. Of course, at Words to My Face on Twitter, wordstomyface@gmail.com, Google Plus, and Facebook. All viable options. Very viable. Yes. I'm trying to expand my vocabulary by using different words for that. Did I succeed? Let me know in comments down below. Am I an idiot? Let me know in comments down below. I figure I might be able to entice more people to comment if I say put mean stuff down there.
Unless you work so far.
No, it hasn't. So maybe I should just say love me, everybody. But yeah, I just want to hear what you guys think. Let me know so I'm not just talking at Brendan the whole time. But that's what I'll do anyway. Even if you don't let me know what you think, I'm just still going to talk at Brendan. That's how I roll.
Always.
Because he's the only person I talk to. Otherwise, I seclude myself, and because I am in fear of Chewbacca 24/7. There he is again. That was a quick swim from Barbados, Chewie. But yeah, so let's move it on to the last story of the night, and that is unfortunately that we have to talk about this story because I don't want to. We did a story on it earlier. I thought we were done. It sounded like, hey, everything's wrapped up in a nice little bow. We're going. The NBA was successful, and that is the Donald Stirling fiasco that's going on right now.
See, I thought I said I refuse to talk about this story, Brian.
Well, yeah, but then you left, and I didn't talk about it, and then you came back. So
and now you're trying to talk about it again.
Well, I was trying to trick you so that you didn't realize that you hadn't already left, but yeah. But we're going to talk about it again. So if you don't know, Donald Stirling, he got caught making some racist remarks to his girlfriend who was illegally recording him, and she leaked those to the press because she was in a lawsuit with his estranged wife who was trying to get back $1.5 million of what they said was embezzled gifts because she wasn't supposed to get all those gifts, but I don't know.
How can you embezzle gifts?
I don't know. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. But I'm going to start us off
as a giver.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to start it off, though, with a quick timeline because, man, there's a lot of things that have been going on. So started off with April 29th. That's when the tape was released. Donald Stirling admitted that he made those marks. Actually, on the 29th was when NBA Commissioner Adam Silver went ahead and suspended him for life, banned him for life, I should say, and fined him $2.5 million. Also saying that, hey, I'm going to meet with the Board of Governors, which is the owners of the NBA, and we're going to force him out with the franchise. So he said he was going to do that. May 8th, Shelley Stirling, his estranged wife, vowed to fight to keep the team in family hands because it was technically part of a family trust. And so Donald Stirling was not the sole owner of the team. It was really family-owned. So she was saying that, no, you can't just take away our franchise. May 10th, the NBA announced that Richard Parsons was going to be made the CEO of the Los Angeles Clippers because they banned the owner for life. They pretty much got rid of most of the front office. They had to have somebody make it so that this franchise wouldn't just crumble. And might I say, up until this point, the Clippers were still playing. They were in the playoffs. So, I don't know how they were able to do that, but they were still playing. So May 19th rolls around. The NBA files a charge against Stirling to terminate his ownership. So they're finally taking the steps to cancel him out, forcibly remove him from the NBA. And then on May 27th, Stirling and his lawyers release a 26-page document that demands he be allowed to keep his team because it was a lover's tiff, number one, and two, he was recorded illegally. So they're pretty much saying he didn't mean any of these comments. He just said that because he was trying to hurt his girlfriend, who is of mixed Black and Hispanic heritage. So that's kind of what he was saying.
But okay, the legal recordings bit. All right, if you want to pull a different suit against it, but this is an private organization's decision. You're arguing something that's applicable in court, U.S. courts, yeah. Criminal courts. Like it doesn't matter. The organization can make whatever rules they want, and whether they care how legal the recording is or not.
And as the owner of a franchise, you are the public face of that franchise. And if you are the public face of a franchise, you are a public face of the NBA. You come out, make racial remarks, really stupid racial remarks, and you're degrading the brand that not only is marketed to millions of black people as well as white and Spanish and Asian people.
There's millions of people in general.
But I would say maybe, well, how about this? The players that actually play are predominantly black, and you're making racial remarks against the predominant players, the driving force behind your brand, which, again, I called it stupid. That's probably a very kind word for what he said. That it should be meaner, but we're a family show. No, we're not a family show. We're not really a family show. But, yeah, so then that was May 27th. So May 29th, Steve Ballmer, ex-CEO of Microsoft, offers $2 billion to buy the team. Now, when I heard that first number, the record for a franchise sold was like $555 million for the NBA. Now, granted, not many franchises change hands in the NBA. A lot of these owners are legacy owners. They own them for a lot longer. I've seen more sports like football for some reason. You see the owners change hands a little bit more. But that was a record earlier in the year for the Milwaukee Bucks. And he offered $2 billion. So he probably tripled what he should have paid for that team. But he offered it anyway, kind of trying to swoop in, save the day, gets the Sterlings out.
I don't even know how well that saved. I guess it saves the day because he's no longer involved. But it would seem like he made out really well, in that arrangement if he gets significantly more than the team should be worth.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much paying this guy to $2 billion to F off. So, I mean, I didn't mind it too much. Like I said, he way overpaid for that franchise, but, what can you do? But that's not the end of it. I wish I could say, hey, that's it. It was over. Why are we talking about it right now? It makes no sense. We're done. Hey, let's all pack up $2 billion and we're on our way. Everybody's hunky-dory. So, on May 30th, the NBA cancels its June 3rd meeting, which was going to be to meet about canceling his ownership, revoking his ownership, because they said, oh, well, it's pending a sale. We don't want to mess with that. We want to let everything move smoothly. Let the wheels move. Well, on the same day, Sterling filed a $1 billion antitrust lawsuit against the NBA. So...
What?
Yes. He alleged that they were colluding to push him out, and that they cannot do that because they would ruin competition in the antitrust form. So, yeah, interesting.
I guess he's got better lawyers than I am, but it just seems to me like, this, you're suing a private organization that you're part of. I guess I don't know exactly how that legal entity works.
Kind of suing himself, I think. So,
You're saying that a private organization cannot regulate itself. Like, I understand antitrust, competition, and everything, but you're talking about a different kind of competition there when you're talking about. I thought, Yeah,
they're supposed to compete against each other, but it's
you're
really
kind of within the same organization already.
Yeah. So again,
more of an antitrust if you were a different league.
Like I said, this story is crazy. That's why I had to write it all down in a crazy timeline. So that was May 29th. Now we had a little bit of a lull until about June 9th, where Donald Stirling suddenly revokes the family trust. So he dissolved the family trust, meaning anything that was his going into the family trust was now coming back to him. He kind of wanted to cut out Shelley and his kids and stuff. He wanted to keep his team. He didn't want her to sell it. So when he dissolved the family trust, he went from being a majority, like a shareholder with everybody, to being the only shareholder. So, yeah, that was interesting. I don't know quite how the legal moves work for that, but apparently it does in California.
That doesn't seem like it would help his situation, though, at all for keeping.
Well, it makes it so Shelley Sterling, who was negotiating the sale with Steve Ballmer for the $2 billion, it makes it so she cannot negotiate for the team she has no part in.
Okay, so it's all about him trying to just keep the grip on the team, but it seems like it's going to place him even worse in the boat of the league just kicking him out. Yes. But I guess he thinks that his lawsuit's going to save him?
Yeah, maybe. Oh. Well, let's continue. So then on June 11th, a probate court schedules a July 7th trial to determine if Shelley was within her rights to negotiate the sale. So sounds like lawsuit number 2 with him against Shelley Sterling, saying that she had no legal rights to negotiate the sale. So that was a fun one. And then July 7th rolls around, and Sterling testifies. He said he'll sue the NBA till he dies before he leaves the team. Shelley Sterling also produced 2 doctors in this hearing who said that Donald Sterling was mentally unfit. They said he was in advanced stages of Alzheimer's, and he was mentally unfit to run this franchise, and he was mentally unfit to dissolve the trust. He's mentally unfit. He can't do any of the things he's been doing. So that was pretty interesting. And she not only had 1, but she had 2 doctors. And I believe he also had a doctor come in and say he was fit and sound. So who knows? That kind of sounds more like a posturing move by her than reality. But I do believe he's probably
sounds like if you have enough money, you can get a doctor to say anything on either side.
Yeah.
Or you can at least find a doctor that will come up with the diagnosis if you have enough time.
Yeah.
You know?
So that case has been going on a little bit longer. And then on July 22nd, just a couple days ago, Sterling filed another lawsuit against the NBA, Shelley Sterling and Adam Silver, seeking damages of up to $1 million. I believe for defamation of character. I'm not 100% correct on that one, but he's seeking damages of up to $1 billion. Yeah.
What is with these billion-dollar lawsuits that he thinks he can get away with?
Well, it's really Shelley Sterling's fault for announcing, "Oh, I sold it for $2 billion." So he's like, how do I get that $2 billion and keep my team? Sue everybody.
But I thought they didn't sell it. They were negotiating it. It didn't actually happen.
They were negotiating it, and it hadn't been sold yet, but the NBA was trying to push that through. So he's just trying to stop everybody from doing that. And then in the same, and then the continuation of the July 7th hearing, Steve Ballmer, who is the CEO instated by the NBA, also testified that Doc Rivers, the really good head coach, championship-winning head coach of the LA Clippers, said if Donald Sterling is still the owner of the team by the beginning of the season, I will not be coaching here. And that has been pretty much echoed by all the players so far on that team. You know, I mean, like you have Chris Paul, Blake Griffin. I mean, I think there's one white guy on the team. And I believe he's one of the most adamant people about not wanting to play for this guy. So you're pretty much going to see if Donald Sterling tries to hold that death grip on his team, he'll lose everything. But let's in review, let's talk about his lawsuit. So he has lawsuit 1, antitrust against NBA. Lawsuit 2 is against Shelley Sterling for sale of the team. Lawsuit 3 is seeking damages from NBA, Shelley Sterling, and Adam Silver. Yeah.
Okay. Fun times.
Fun times, unless you're like a Clippers fan. But I really want to say this kind of as a closing argument. See, talking about the court cases, closing argument. I applaud you, Doc Rivers. Oh, damn it, I got another boo. but I applaud you, Doc Rivers, for standing up for what you believe in. And, you know, what can I say? Give him a clap. You have that one, right? Just click on the boo. And you deserve it. And also to the whole Clippers team, because what they're going through is rough. It's rocky. You pretty much have infighting between an estranged wife and a husband. I know that's a lot about what's going on, and it all led to these racist remarks being leaked. So maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's not the greatest thing. It's better to, you know, have those racists out there in the open and get rid of them than have them hiding behind closed doors. So it is a good thing. But I applaud Doc Rivers, and I stand behind any decision he might make, because you know what? If I was playing, let's say I was 6'3" and, you know, like 210 pounds and just like the biggest physical athlete ever, I'm everything except for that last thing I said. Get it. All right, never mind. But where's the boo? You're supposed to boo me again when I fail on those jokes.
Nah, you're good.
But yeah, so let's say I was playing on the Clippers, I would not want to play for them either. I wouldn't have even wanted to go through the playoffs last year while all that was going on. But Doc Rivers, being the upstanding guy he was, said, let's finish what we started here. We're not doing this for Sterling. We're not doing this for anybody else except for us right here. So I do got to say, Doc Rivers, you are an inspiration to a lot of people, because you're going to be walking away from $5 to $7 million a year. That's nothing to sneeze at. And all the other players, if they walk away with you, are going to be walking away from deals worth that or more. So, you know, it's a really hard time for them.
I think that there's a few teams out there that are still going to be looking for some new coaches and players.
But if you leave, like, right during the middle of the season, I don't believe they'll be able to play that season
I know.
Coach that season. So, and they're under contract, so if they don't do it, I don't believe they'll be able to sign with another team until the whole issue is resolved. So
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we get him out of here. And
yeah, it seems
it
at
really
this
sounds
point
like instead of just taking the $2 billion, he's just trying to sue for the $2 billion. So
yeah, it seems too though at this point there's not a whole lot of chance of him keeping the team anyway. He's just
zero chance.
making things because you have so many sides. You have the family trying to sell the team, which would get rid of it, which he's trying to block. I guess he has a lawsuit for every instance except for one. But family trying to block, the league kicking him out, trying to kick him out, which he has another lawsuit for, right? And the players and coach deciding, hey, we're just going to not play. So no matter what happens, you're not having a team this year.
Yeah. I mean, and we didn't mention the fans, who hopefully will take the lead off of the players, even if they hire scab players to play on this team, will take the lead and not show up. So they won't put their money in his pockets.
It doesn't seem like there's much to gain by hanging on at this point, because it looks like the last kind of ditch thing is if the players and coaches decide we're not going to participate anymore, can't sue them to force them to do it, you know? If they want to quit, they're going to quit. Like, contract or not, that just means they can't go somewhere else, right? So
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, I applaud those guys, and I stand behind you guys. You will always have words from my face getting your back, even though, like 20 people listen to us a week. Don't worry about that. We got your back here at Words from My Face. Stand up to racism. It's an ugly thing. We don't need it here in America. Sports is one of the one things that really is able to break down those barriers of racism. It was done with Jackie Robinson in the 40s. It's been done ever since then. It's really one of the best things about all these things. What is she laughing at?
Brian clearly tried to think of the starting points in all the other sports, and he was like, "Nope, can't do it." Just Jackie Robinson. That's what we're.
It was Jackie Robinson, and then I was going to mention something about the Redskins and George Preston Marshall being the last to, but that's my franchise. I don't want to hate on them too much. Yeah, George Preston Marshall was a racist. So, yeah. Yeah, but let's go ahead and end the show tonight, because we hit our 50-minute mark, and on our 30-minute show, as we do every single show. We need to just switch it to we're doing a 50-minute show, and then we'll go like an hour and a half. So you never know. We can't keep our time straight. But as always, I am Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brendan.
You.
And we're gonna headbang our way out of this place, playa. Well, I gotta think of something new every now and then. I can't just say the same thing every time. Or can I?
Dun dun dun.
I can. I really can.